We took sand from the earth, and with a bit of engineering and chemistry and logic, we turned it into a tiny chip. This chip allowed smart people to use the magic of mathematics to put a man on the moon and change our lives forever. Computer programmers started to also use these chips to create shapes that represent virtual space and time and physics. And from then on, the worlds and stories in audiovisual form came to life. Have you ever wondered what it's like to live another life, or walk in someone else's shoes? If you're not a storyteller, or an actor in a movie or on a theater stage, or if you're not a spy, you cannot really step into someone else's shoes. Books and movies give us glimpses through empathy what it would be like, but we are just passengers along for the ride. Video games place you in the middle of the story and give you the control. What you do with it is up to you. Be a thief in a steampunk city, a cowboy in a wild wild west, a tomb raider raiding tombs, a nuclear fallout survivor in a Moscow metro. Be a pawn, a king, or be a god. What I love about stories is that if they are really, really good, then they can change you. The emotions we experience playing, reading, watching something has a tiny yet observable effect on our personalities. And video games, yes, they can be a bit limiting at the moment, still offer us amazing opportunities to take the control and discover something new about ourselves. Now I understand if you don't like video games, think it's a waste of time, or think they're just stupid, violent shooting simulations. I get it. I get that some people aren't just that into them, or think it's just too much work to sit behind a monitor and really think what I'm going to do next. It's so much more exciting just to turn on some Brooklyn Nine-Nine and turn off your mind. But there are thousands of excellent quality experiences out there that could move you to the core if you are just willing to try something new. And this channel is about showing you what's out there and showing you life in its details. So I want to tell you about 3 fantastic video games that everybody should play before they die. No, not that rude. Just try, at least if nothing else than these 3. So 1 is for your emotions, 1 is for your brain, and 1 is for just simply to have a good time and turn off your mind and wonder about the technical wonder of video games. Since my last 2 videos I talked about books and movies, I wanted to close this little what I recommend series with video games. Why video games? Truly, video games are one of my deepest passions. So deep, in fact, that they almost consumed my life and I had to exile myself to learn some self-control. But one day when I learn to take life in moderation, I will return to them. But yeah, I think video games are truly awesome and magical, and I wouldn't want to live in a world without them. Thanks to my father, I was exposed to video games at the very young age of 5, with games like Wolfenstein 3D, Doom, Duke Nukem, Quake, Mortal Kombat and Diablo. All pretty violent stuff, but there were nice ones like Prince of Persia. Well, Sonic, Aladdin, Need for Speed, just to name a few. In reality, I had 2 high towers full of game CDs and too little time to properly enjoy them all. As for the violence, I understood, even as a kid, that they were just games and fantasy, and I did not have any illusions about bringing anything from there to the real life. But I was addicted to controlling the pixels on screen, the freedom of choice and the consequences of my actions. Now I can see how moving some pixels on screen wouldn't be enough to consume somebody's life, especially looking back at these old graphics that at the time looked so unrealistically real. If you don't really care about video games, ask yourself, but why? Then of course there is shooting some demons in the face, or jumping from one platform to another, or controlling hundreds of units. I get how that may not be everybody's cup of tea, but what about puzzles? Something for your brain, something different and entertaining. What about stories? Everybody loves good stories, no? When I discovered story-driven games, I understood that gaming is something much bigger than a child's toy. Something more than a waste of time. And they are only getting better. Books and movies might have reached their plateau, but video games, oh, we haven't seen nothing yet. But I digress. I'm here to recommend you 3 video games that everybody should try, even if they think video games are silly or stupid or just indeed waste of time. I will start with one of my all-time favorite video games, Life is Strange, which is an episodic graphic adventure where you step into the shoes of a teenage girl named Maxine Caulfield, Max for short. She returns to her old hometown Arcadia to attend art school as an aspiring photographer. The story starts off with a bang when she discovers that she can actually rewind time after witnessing her childhood best friend Chloe being shot dead. This sends her on a journey that, like a butterfly which flaps its wings sending out weak ripples at first, will soon turn into a tornado or storm. And there's also something sinister going on in Arcadia. You will slowly come to know the characters and the setting, and the story will draw you in if you let it. Now, the characters are voiced wonderfully. The art style is warm, and the Pacific North Autumn setting just chills you out, man. And the music, the music in this game, it matches perfectly with the art style. The story tackles some heavy ideas about memory and identity and friendship to sacrifice, with some supernatural twists. And the ending will stay with you for a long time. I cried like a little girl, but it's good. It's really, really good. What I recommend that you do when playing is to take it slow. Just take it slow. Breathe in the atmosphere, talk to all the characters, read all the journal entries, get into this world. Rewind time and try a different path if something goes wrong. The game sometimes goes on a sale where you can get it with just only $5, and the first episode is usually free for you to try out on PC or on iOS tablet. If nothing else on this small list, at least try this game.
Since you're the mysterious superhero, I'll be your faithful chauffeur and companion.
My powers might not last, Chloe.
That's okay. We will. Forever.
Next up, puzzles, and a good story. Now, all games in a way are puzzles to be solved, races to be won with opponents in them to be defeated. They are in a sense a loop that goes round and round until you take certain action which ends the loop. Chess pieces await patiently until a king is captured. Sudoku fields wait for all the numbers to be placed. Monopoly waits for one person to bankrupt the others. It only comes down to the level of freedom a certain game offers. But mostly games wait for you to go from start to finish with the aid of your grey matter. And here enters one of the most well-known, iconic and an instant classic of a game, Portal.
Now you're thinking with portals.
In essence, the idea is very simple. You wake up in a test chamber and have to escape, or something like that. For that, you are given a gun which shoots 2 types of ammo, one that creates an entry portal and the other that creates an exit portal. It respects your intelligence enough to only show you and not tell you what to do. Only guidance you kinda get is a voice from an AI called Gladys, who sounds really passive-aggressive.
This next test involves turrets. You remember them, right? They're the pale spherical things that are full of bullets. Oh wait, that's you in 5 seconds. Good luck.
It's not just from one test chamber to the next, but as you go through the levels and see that abandoned aperture test facility, you begin to suspect that something has gone really wrong here. Now, Portal has also a second part, Portal 2, and really you should play them both. The second one is even better than the first, but to appreciate it fully, you should play them both. The voice work is excellent. The atmosphere is excellent, the story is excellent, the puzzles are amazingly thought out, the co-op with a friend is fantastic, and when it's over you kinda feel sad it's over. It doesn't have much replay value, as when you know the puzzles through and through, you kinda know them through and through. But you get to keep this nice feeling that you play the masterpiece with you for the rest of your life. And it also goes on sale like lots of times, so you can get it practically for nothing.
I think we can put our differences behind us. For science. You monster.
Now I thought long and hard what I'd recommend for the third game, Not a story-driven one like The Longest Journey and Dreamfall came to mind, or a good platformer like Ori and the Blind Forest, or something gothic and dark like Batman Arkham Asylum. But then I knew that if somebody wants to just be wild and free and experience a video game so huge and so remarkable, it has to be an open world game. A video game that took 5 years to make, with a development team of over 1,000 people and a budget of $265 million. A game that broke all selling records on release, with collecting $800 million just on its first day, and over $1 billion on its third day, and hasn't really slowed down since. Of course I'm going big with this last one and welcoming you to the simulation of modern California and the city of Los Santos with Grand Theft Auto 5. Now, all the previous Rockstar GTA games have been successful, but this one just blows everything out of the water. You get a whole state to play around in, drive, fly, float and cycle, race, play tennis, cold swim, etc. But again, what really hooks you in is the story. The first time in history you're in control of 3 main protagonists who are not black and white individuals in a sense, but live complex and varied lives. You will marvel at the details Rockstar team has managed to put into the game. The city feels alive and the color palette shows you the best of the West Coast. Now, you are not aware about what sort of business the main guys are into, but it's robbing banks. Now, the language is a bit vulgar, so I wouldn't recommend this to your elderly or easily offended. But we need a bit of danger in our somewhat safe lives, don't we? The music and the radio stations are funny and mwah to listen to. Voice acting is on god level. The graphics and details shows that a huge team worked on the project. The characters are memorable and the main campaign is fun. It's a fun game to sit on a sofa and grab a controller or hit on a max graphics on PC. I'm sure that all serious gamers already have played it, but if you haven't, what are you waiting for? Also, you can get this monster of a game that clocks in like 300 hours of worth of fun for like $15 every once in a while. Alrighty, games are great, movies are great, books are great. Stories are great. Now, good story contains multiple meanings, and it can take complex ideas and simplify them for us. We use stories to make sense of this world, and by experiencing other people's stories, we enrich our lives and then find it more fulfilling and meaningful. And I truly believe that. Now, I know that some stuff I recommended you might not be suited for you, and that's fine. That's great actually. World needs to be alive and varied in order to have intense interactions, and that's what life is made of. Intense interactions between opponents. If you have some feelings about these video games or some ideas, or maybe you have your own favorites to share with me, please do them in the comments down below. I would love to read them. And please hit me a like, I'm really grateful. The YouTube algorithm likes it and it helps me out a lot. And now that this little mini What I Recommend You series is over, I tried to dive more deeply into the deeper topics of the mind and life and philosophy. But who knows? Maybe I'll be a father soon and have even less time. Even this video took me 3 weeks to make, but like my friend in New York said, fam comes first, mate. So take care of your family and friends, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.